The maid who stood up. The afternoon sun streamed through the tall windows of the Bradleys' mansion on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. It was the kind of house people slowed down to admire. Sprawling lawns, white columns, and a driveway lined with magnolia trees. Inside, everything gleamed with quiet wealth. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and oil paintings that looked down on everyone who entered. But for all its beauty, the house had grown cold. Evelyn Bradley, the aging matriarch of the family, had lived there most of her life. Once lively and graceful, she now spent her days quietly knitting by the living room window, her trembling hands struggling to hold the needle steady. Her son, Jonathan Bradley, a millionaire entrepreneur always flying between cities, thought his wife took good care of his mother. Her name was Vanessa, elegant, ambitious, and the kind of woman who made everyone around her feel slightly smaller. In public, she was charm itself, polite, composed, and endlessly gracious. But behind the marble walls, the truth was much darker. When Jonathan was away, Vanessa's kindness vanished. Her words turned sharp, her tone cold, and her patience thin. "You can't even hold a spoon without shaking," she would sneer when Evelyn tried to eat. "Maybe it's time you stop pretending you matter in this house." She never hit her. She didn't have to. Her cruelty came in whispers, in sighs, in looks that made the old woman feel invisible. The only one who ever saw through it, or dared to, was Angela Carter, the family's housekeeper. Angela was a black woman in her 40s, strong and steady, with quiet eyes that missed nothing. She had worked for the Bradleys for nearly 10 years. She had seen the rhythms of this home, the laughter when Jonathan was around, the tension when he left, and the sadness that filled the rooms when Evelyn sat alone. At first, Angela tried to stay out of it. She knew her place, or at least what the world told her it was. But as the weeks turned into months, she couldn't ignore what she saw. The humiliation, the tears, the way Evelyn shrank a little more every day. One night, while Angela helped Evelyn to bed, the old woman gripped her hand weakly. "Please, Angela," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Don't make trouble with her. She'll only make things worse for me if you do." So Angela endured. She kept her distance, but never stopped watching. When Vanessa turned the thermostat down to freezing out of spite, Angela quietly draped an extra blanket over Evelyn's legs. When harsh words made the old woman tremble, Angela offered a soft smile and a gentle word. But patience has limits. One humid afternoon, the air in the mansion felt heavier than usual. Vanessa came storming down the hallway, heels striking the marble like gunshots. Evelyn sat in her armchair, knitting with trembling hands, a small basket of yarn at her feet. Vanessa stopped in the doorway, arms crossed. "Still wasting your time, I see," she said, her voice dripping with contempt. "You drop more stitches than you make. Why do you bother? You're nothing but a burden in this house." Evelyn froze, her fingers trembling so badly that the yarn slipped to the floor. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Angela, standing nearby with a folded stack of laundry, felt her chest tighten. "That's enough, ma'am," she said quietly. Vanessa turned, her eyes narrowing. "Excuse me. I said that's enough." But Vanessa only smirked and took a step closer to Evelyn. "You cling to this house like it still belongs to you," she hissed. "But it doesn't. It's ours now. You're just leftover, like a piece of furniture too heavy to throw away." Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. "Please, Vanessa," she whispered. And then Vanessa snapped. "I'm done with your whining," she shouted. And before she knew it, her hand was rising, palm open, fury burning across her face. Evelyn flinched, bracing for the blow she'd feared for so long. But never came. Angela moved before she could think. Her body surged forward, her arms shooting out between them. Vanessa's hand smacked hard into Angela's palm, the sound echoing through the room. Flesh against flesh, sharp and final. The room went silent. Angela's dark eyes burned into Vanessa's. "No more," she said, her voice low but thunderous. "You will not lay a hand on her." Vanessa stepped back, stunned. "How dare you?" she hissed. "You think you can defy me?" "I can," Angela replied, her arms still outstretched, her body shielding Evelyn. "And I will." With her other hand, Angela drew the old woman close, wrapping herself protectively around her frail frame. "You've mocked her, humiliated her, broken her down, but you will not touch her. Not today, not ever." Evelyn began to cry softly into Angela's shoulder. Vanessa's face twisted with rage. "Do you know what you just done?" she spat. "When my husband finds out, you'll be thrown out of this house with nothing." Angela's chin lifted. "Then so be it. I'd rather lose this job than lose my soul watching you hurt her." And then a voice came from the doorway. "What's going on here?" The words froze everyone in place. Jonathan stood there, briefcase still in hand, having returned home hours earlier than expected. His eyes swept across the room. His wife, her arms still suspended midair, his mother clinging to the maid's apron, and Angela standing tall between them. "Vanessa," he said slowly, "what is this?" Vanessa blinked, then straightened her dress, her face shifting into practiced innocence. "Thank God you're here," she said quickly. "Angela's lost her mind. She's been filling your mother's head with nonsense, turning her against me. I was only trying to reason with her." Evelyn's voice broke through, shaky but clear. "No," she whispered. She was going to strike me." Jonathan's eyes widened. But before he could speak, Angela's voice rang out, steady, strong. "Don't let her twist this," she said, glaring at Vanessa. "I've watched her mock your mother, day after day, while you were gone. Today, when words weren't enough, she raised her hand. I stopped her, and I'd do it again." Vanessa turned crimson. "Lies," she snapped. "You believe a servant over your own wife." Angela's anger flared, years of quiet endurance giving way. "Servant or not, I know what loyalty means. If you can't care for your mother with dignity, then say so, because I will. If she doesn't have a place here, she'll leave with me, and I'll treat her like the treasure she is." The words hung in the air like thunder. Evelyn gasped, clutching Angela's arm. Vanessa's mouth fell open. Jonathan stood frozen, his breath uneven. "You'd go with her?" he asked softly, turning to his mother. Evelyn didn't answer. She didn't have to. Her trembling hands still gripped Angela's apron like a lifeline. Jonathan saw it. The trust, the gratitude, the fear he'd been too blind to notice. He saw his mother not as fragile, but as someone who had been suffering in silence. Angela's voice softened, but her resolve didn't waver. No amount of money or property is worth staying somewhere that treats her like she's less than human. The silence that followed was heavy. Vanessa's voice cracked. "You can't be serious. She's his mother. This is our house." Jonathan's tone cut through her words, firm, trembling, but resolute. "Our house," he said. "This was my mother's home before it was ever ours. And if anyone here has disrespected her, it isn't the maid. It's you." Vanessa stared, speechless. Jonathan knelt beside his mother, taking her trembling hand in his. Tears filled his eyes. "I'm so sorry, Mama," he whispered, "for not seeing, for not protecting you. You'll never be alone again." Evelyn wept, softly at first, then openly, her frail body shaking as she clung to both her son and Angela. Jonathan rose slowly, turning to his wife. His voice was colder now. "Pack your things," he said. "You won't raise your hand in this house again. Not against my mother. Not against anyone." Vanessa opened her mouth, but no words came. Her heels clicked sharply against the marble as she stormed out, her silence louder than any scream. The house exhaled. Angela finally lowered her arm, her shoulders trembling. She turned to Jonathan, expecting fury, maybe dismissal. But instead, he stepped closer and placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "You saved her," he said quietly. "You did what I should have done long ago. You stood where I was too blind to stand. I owe you everything." Angela bowed her head, her voice barely above a whisper. "I just did what any heart should do." As Evelyn leaned into her son's embrace, Angela stood close by, no longer just a maid, but the woman who had proven what true loyalty meant. And for the first time in years, peace returned to the Bradley home.